Introducing your trusted source for high-quality Black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe Black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of Black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your Black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
Funeral expenses are costly. The Casket Store wants to help you save hundreds of dollars. You do not have to purchase a casket from the funeral home. Call now for a free in-home consultation. Call 773-445-6900. 773-445-6900.
WIFTV.
Live from your studio. You're listening to Book of Dawn. With Dawn Millhouse.
Good morning, sunshines. It's Dawn Millhouse with the Book of Dawn. Lisa E. is on holiday atoning for all her many thousands of egregious thoughts and sins. It's Yom Kippur. I said, you only have to atone one day? We should probably, so y'all could sin all year and one day say I'm sorry. But anyway, we'll have that conversation when we talk about religion, right? Good morning, everybody. This is the Book of Dawn on What's in It for the Black People Media. I am honored, excited, a little bit nervous because our special guests in studio today are some of the executive leadership team from Millhouse Engineering and Construction. Of course, there wouldn't be Millhouse Engineering and Construction without Wilbur Millhouse, who happens to be the guy whose feet never touched the ground in the story I told you on day one. But that's a whole nother show. Wilbur Millhouse is a recognized and accomplished entrepreneur. He's the founder, chairman, and CEO of Millhouse Engineering and Construction, which is a parent company established in 2001. That had other babies. The company had babies. And so there are other children, family members that they will discuss today. 6 companies to date, 2 subsidiary companies, which is Millhouse Construction and Millhouse Snow. Did you guys know that one of the largest Black-owned engineering firm does snow removal?
Let us know.
In the words of Game of Thrones, he additionally has expanded his reach to other countries, Nigeria, in Africa, and Bermuda. He's a graduate of the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, ILL. Go ahead, guys.
I.
Okay, there you go. With an undergraduate and master's degree, he is a licensed professional engineer. And if you didn't know, there are less than how many percent in the state that are Black?
Less than 1%.
Less than 1%. Yeah. Do your homework and take your tests. He's licensed in how many states? Because we get mail from every state in the union, I think.
Yeah.
A lot.
Most of
Licensed professional engineer in many states, and we go together, y'all. That part. I've introduced him, and he's fine, and don't drop your comments. He don't have no brothers. Ain't nothing happening. This show is called, this is the pre-Shark Tank. This is all about business. We're going to get down to business today. We're going to talk to the president, the vice president, doctors, and lawyers and Indian chiefs and all kind of stuff today.
We brought it all.
Exactly. So without further ado, Wilbur C. Millhouse III, welcome.
Thank you. And I brought my A team this morning, so you guys don't have to just deal with me. You get to deal with all of the great people that make Millhouse work. But I thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to just talk about sometimes the journey to getting to be a president or a vice president in an organization, the journey of creating new opportunities. Along the way, we're going to definitely talk about what I mean by everybody has one great idea, which I want to have as one of the central focuses of today, which is why we created that one email address, which is greatideas@millhouseinc.com. And really, we want to just talk business, talk about some of the struggles that you guys may be having or some of the things that you're thinking about related to going into business, and how we could possibly lend a hand or lend support related to advice. And that's what we're here for.
Would I be incorrect in saying that a couple of those great ideas, you will help mentor those ideas to fruition?
Yep, we want to get a bunch of new great ideas where we can then help foster and mentor those individuals to taking those to market or taking those ideas into an actual business. So that is the objective, that we take at least 3 great ideas that come in, and then we mentor those individuals. We'll put dollars behind that and take that into market.
That is fantastic. So right here at What's in It for the Black People Media Studios, it's a lot of brown in here today. No offense to the non-brown viewers. However, today we are going to, and you're going to invest in anybody that's listening and supporting this platform. But I think that one of the things May said when we were all sitting in the lobby waiting to come on air was, he said, wow. He said it's a room full of beautiful black people with suits and dresses on, ready to do business in a black format, in a black platform. And
we
so
dressed up for you today.
Me too. He called me Ruth Bader Ginsburg. He tried to go on my dress, but anyway, because he's my brother, I'm gonna let him slide.
Ruth Gator a little bit.
Think
about that.
Esco, get him.
It's kind of. I didn't think about that. Get you a little extra fringe.
And it's my promo picture dress. I didn't wear my pearls though. Same watch and everything. I should have changed. But I have sneakers on. You already know that, right? You can only see the top. We're going to start, if it's okay, we're going to start with another lady.
Yep.
Who is
the boss?
Yes, this is his work wife and his boss. Her name is Dolla Crater. Dolla, Dolla. You know, dollar bill. So she's the president. That's, she got a fitting name.
And about the money.
Facts. Dolla is the president of business operations for Millhouse Engineering and Construction, bringing more than 30 years of financial marketing and operations management experience to her journey and what she does on a daily basis at Millhouse. She manages over 200 employees and a company that started with like Wilbur and then grew to 2 and then to 6 and now over 200, again, all over the United States and in 2 additional countries. As the president of business operations, she delivers and makes certain that the core business functions are done daily with integrity based on your core values. Dolla did not start as a president, but because of the vision of Wilbur, she was able to grow in the business, and she is going to share with you some thought and some forethought about how to present yourself, how to take that journey, and maybe sit in the president's seat one day. So, Dolla Crater, welcome to the Book of Dawn. Thank you for coming this morning, and I hope we're not interrupting your great business that's happening without you.
Well, thank you, Dawn. It is a pleasure to be here. I, too, am a little nervous to start here, but that's always a good thing, right? You always do your best when you're a little at the part of you butterflies in the stomach, and everything's moving fast. That's when at least I do my best.
Right.
So let me share with you some of those times when I was nervous, little butterflies in the stomach, little fluttering all around, and go on my journey. I like to take you on it with me. You are absolutely right. I was not always the president of Millhouse Engineering, but love it, what I'm doing today. But I started my career, and I'm going to date myself a little bit here. I started my career in the late 80s. Yes, I know, it's hard to believe, but I did.
Black don't crack, baby.
And I started it with the giant at the time, and that giant was Motorola Inc. It had just penetrated the marketplace with cell phones, right? So I came into their cellular sector when cellular phones just hit the market, and I was there a credit analyst, started at the bottom, and did financial credit checks and financial spreadsheets and history of how that particular product could grow in the market. And so I did business plans, and I did financial plans, and I learned the business from the bottom to the point where I was on the manufacturing floor helping put cell phones together with the little discussion pads that said Sprint, and it said AT&T, and it said Nextel, but they were Motorola phones.
Wow.
And so learned how to talk to the dealers in the marketplace and teach them how to sell those phones and how to actually repair those phones when
Those
needed.
flip phones?
No, those were
Even-
bag phones.
Bag phones. There was the bag phone.
And then the brick.
and then the brick.
Because my wife had them all.
Yes.
Especially
And a
that
motor.
flip phone. I had to
And
get that
flip.
flip phone away from her.
Well,
In real life, in the
like-
2000s.
but what happens is it's all about quality, Wilbur, right?
I still
You
want
know?
one.
She still
The flip phone
Razor.
doesn't.
StarTAC was a big.
That's right.
That was the one. You couldn't break it. We would do the 6-foot drop test and it wouldn't break.
Hey.
So it was around forever. But at Motorola, I learned a lot. It taught me a lot. Training is key. And at Motorola, they invested at least 40 hours a year of training in their team members. And then you would probably take twice as much. So you took about 120 hours. So training was key at Motorola. And what they did was allow you to grow and develop, and your career path took off, which I had the opportunity to do on my journey. So from there, started at the bottom, credit analyst, went into being a business planning manager. From there, I became a product planning manager, and then I became a product brand manager, which means you bring product to market from inception. You work with engineers, and you talk to the clients, and you understand what they want to see in their next product. And you design it with the engineers, all the features and so forth.
She's learning. She's like, oh, okay. Get it, Esco. No, go ahead. Join the conversation.
And so from there, I went into putting products out to market. But you have to understand the marketplace. You have to understand the client needs. And you design that product to that point. And I worked very closely with those engineers, and I started to learn their jargon. And I could almost pretend to be an engineer while I was out there talking to the clients, but would also partner with my engineers and bring them out out there to the field. And then we would bring products, prototypes. And then we started building those, or designing them and then building them, because there was a manufacturing plant there also at Motorola. Designed a couple of patents while I was at Motorola, and understood the process of how you patent a great idea. I packaged a couple of products and housed them as to how they should look in the marketplace, but you have to go through a whole process, and you have to trust in the process that you work with attorneys and engineers to bring your great ideas to fruition.
It's kind of like what we're doing today, right? Esco, do we have to break, or are we good? One more minute? Okay. So you said a couple important things that I think your experience that you have, I would like to, when we come back from the break, talk about the value of listening and partnership at whatever level you're at, in addition to how you took that investment of team members to Millhouse with you, and more importantly, how your journey that started there ended up as the president of one of the largest firms in the United States, or I'm going to say the world. We can say the world. We can claim it. Initially, and if in my rap voice, I would say how you started from the bottom and now you're here. Right. You're listening to the Book of Dawn on What's in It for the Black People Media, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. weekdays. Stick with us after 11 o'clock, and bring your dictionary. Muwakil's World is in the building. Smart brother with a great voice. Has he done my commercial yet? Get him on the line. We'll be right back.
WIFTDPM.
Chicago famous with Mike Love and Diz.
The Destin legend himself, Leon Rogers.
Yeah.
What's going on, Playboy?
Man, listen, honored to be here with radio legends, man. Two brothers I looked up for and patted my success.
You walked away from your day job and you went straight in the
Man, brother, first time somebody called me to do the gig, they was like, hey, I got my grandmama's 85-year-old birthday party. She's turning 85. She has a brain tumor. I mean, now she's not going to be able to hear because she's in a coma, but she'll be laying in the room and we just want the good vibes. Well, what is it? $75. We need you to do an hour. I'm there because of the passion. I wanted to do the comedy. So I quit. But when you quit that job, and the job I had was decent. My father, every young black man should have a dad or a father figure in his life. Yes. But when I say he went off on me,
my son works.
When I told him I quit to do comedy, my mom, mamas is always like, well, that's good, baby. Spread your wings. Realizing what God wants you to do.
Right.
My father like, you got to be the dumbest son of a bitch in the world. I can't believe you came from my ball sack. $65,000 a year. Me and your mama combined only make 80. You dumb mother. I mean, going off. Like me and my pops actually kind of fell out.
Old school black fathers, old school mindset. They came up working. They know how hard it is.
Hands knuckles black. Hands look like he worked at the steel mill, like he was dipping them in the lava. So he pissed. My hands manicured.
He's super cool and he know kung fu.
I'm clean. I work on computers.
Drives a $5,000 car and wears a $100 suit.
Right.
He like, I'm out here getting lung poisoning from inhaling all these steel mill fumes and touching people's mail. Look at my hands. I can't even pick up a fork and knife. Your mama got to cut my food for me. And you want to quit to do some damn comedy. He hell.
Chicago famous. 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Funeral expenses are costly. The Casket Store wants to help you save hundreds of dollars. You do not have to purchase a casket from the funeral home. Call now for a free in-home consultation. Call 773-445-6900. 773-445-6900.
WIFTDP.
Live from your media studio. You're listening to Book of Dawn. Book of with Dawn Millhouse.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Book of Dawn on What's in It for the Black People Media. We are joined today by the A squad of Millhouse Engineering and Construction and the visionary himself, Wilbur C. Millhouse. Before the break, Wilbur, we were talking to Dala about her journey in business, and I think you have a question for her, right?
Sure. I think it's a good opportunity for Dala to talk about a lot of the things that she's done for Millhouse. I mean, Dala, you're over our IT group, you're over our financial team, you're over our legal team, you're over our project development group, you're over our group that does HR as well, what we call people and culture, and you lead all of those folks to support the entire operation. You started with us in marketing.
Yes, I did, in marketing.
And then what happened and how did you grow? I think it's great for folks to understand that just because you start in one area, you can migrate, have diversity in what you do, take on new responsibility and go. Talk about it a little bit. Sure,
Wilbur, sure. Yes, I most definitely started at Millhouse in marketing, and that's a passion of mine. I have a graduate degree with emphasis in marketing, so when I came into Millhouse, I was very eager to help brand the company and promote the company and expose the company in ways that it would be known by the logo for what it does. You know, that the logo would speak to itself, for itself. That's the vision. Just very similar to, you know, the golden arches. We know that's McDonald's around the world. Well, Millhouse is going to be exactly that, known for the orange M. That's Millhouse, the engineering, design, and construction management services company. That also
grabbing air, baby. Please understand what the words that are coming out of her mouth.
And that one day will be known around the world, around the globe. And so, very excited to start continue my career, I should say, with Millhouse and grow. There, I was able to help share the vision at Millhouse that Wilbur, you put in front of us as a team, and understand that it takes a lot of moving parts to grow and push a company forward. And so that meant that, you know, I was willing and ready and eager and ready to help when it came to human resources and IT and marketing and asset management, administrative services, the legal components of it, the safety components of it. And all of that is part of business operations, which is...
But Darla, you didn't have a background in all of those things, so how did you pick up those skill sets to be able to run those different groups?
That's a good question. I think the first thing you have to realize is that you have to have the inclination to want to do it. You know, you have to have interest in it. It will come naturally to those who have the will, and then you can build skill. And so what I did was basically, you know, I just curious. You know, I'm like, okay, it takes 3 things to run a business. 3 things, right? You have to have an entrepreneurial spirit, first of all, and in order to understand those 3 things, you have to build relationships to run a company. You have to understand that when you're building those relationships, there are 3 key types of people you need to be exposed to. And those would be accountants, because you're going to need them to count your money. You're going to need them to help you manage your taxes. You're going to need them to help you forecast your business and plan accordingly. Then there's your banker. You need that relationship because you need cash. You need access to cash and access to capital. And then the third one, you need an attorney to keep you out of trouble. And so basically, those are the key relationships that when I realized, okay, when you need those keys to start a business, and then that kind of got me really diving into, once you have that in place, now you can start concentrating on the business itself. You have to market your business. You have to have technology drive your business forward. And so those are things I thought about. And when you think that way, then you can start to understand that you can start getting into those areas within a business and growing them and getting involved. And that was sheer interest, sheer desire. And when I always say, when you have the will, the skills will follow.
Dala, Madam President, my apologies. So when I, as a I'm on the creative side, right? So I didn't have the vision nor I'm sure I've had a great idea or two, but I never had the interest in the grind of opening something from the start. You're the president of operations of an international company, and you just touched on 5 areas. I know that you have. How many departments do you actually operate?
It's 8.
Okay, but there are over 200 team members.
286.
How do you manage that in an 8-hour day or 10-hour day?
So, Dawn, I take no credit. First of all, I move with humility, and I'm humble because I do not do anything by myself. There is no I in the word team. And it takes a team to deliver on a day-to-day basis. And so there's a team of Millhouse team members, 286 and counting. We're probably right now on a Monday onboarding some new team members.
And for those of them that don't know, what is onboarding?
So, thank you. Onboarding is a way that we bring on board a new team member into Millhouse. It's really a 90-day process, but their first day is orientation, where we welcome them, and Wilbur himself will welcome them as part of the process that day. They will be indoctrinated into what it means to work with Millhouse. I didn't say for, I said with. We're a team. They also understand, where they'll be working, how they'll be working, who they're working with. Get their tools and they get their resources on that day. And then they're ready to roll up their sleeves and go out and do great things at Millhouse. So that's what orientation is, the first day of the 90-day onboarding process.
Oh, 90 days. Wilbur, Dala mentioned that you will actually do a welcome to that new team member. How do you manage to do that while still developing companies, traveling abroad, and functioning in that space? Why is it important is a better question for you to be there personally.
Great question. I want to do it personally because I want to have that contact with each and every person that joins us. For a while, I didn't do that, and I'll be walking down the hallway, and I go, who is that person? They just said hi to me. I don't even know their name. And we got big enough to the point where I just was like, okay, I'm not necessarily touching all the folks besides when we do our big town hall meetings or something like that. So doing those introductions and telling them why I created Millhouse and what is important related to Millhouse and the culture of Millhouse, and getting their buy-in related to where we're going as a goal of an operation was hugely, hugely important to me to set that tone on their very first day. And since I've enjoyed having some feedback related to those individuals talking about now that was one of the things that they really enjoyed, was that I was part of the introduction of them to their new surroundings, because most people are a little nervous about joining a new firm. What's going to happen? Who's going to be there? Are they going to fit in? All those kinds of things. But for me, it was important to give that welcome and let them know that this is what we're about, this is what we're doing, and if you see anything different, let me know, and we're going to get it together. So
I think that's super neat, because how many people can say that on the first day that they work for $1 billion company that the boss was there? Like, I bet the Amazon people never met dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, right? I can't say nothing about Facebook. We on Facebook, but anyway. But you know the point.
Show today at 11 o'clock, I will be doing that. I'll pull out my phone. So the great thing is having technology. We have a system called Life Size, and I'm able to just pop straight on and do that welcome remotely wherever I'm at. I've done one when we were in Bermuda, Frank. I've done them all over the place. So that's how it happens.
I just want to give you just another pat on the back, because I think that's huge. Most people don't walk into the first day and see the man whose name is on the paycheck the first day, and so I think it sets the tone with humility, like you said, to open a journey for them to grow and be something they never thought they could be. And I think there are a couple other executive panelists that you'll talk to today who have literally manifested that very beginning. Go ahead.
One of the things I want to mention related to Dala, and you guys need to know, basically, Dala buys everything for the company. So stop asking me, hey, can I sell you insurance? Can I sell you cars? Can I sell you this or that? Dala is the person. That's who y'all need.
That's who's got. She's got the bag.
When I tell you, we're a $40 million company, and she buys all the stuff. I better talk to this woman.
So when they send those emails to Great Ideas at Millhouse Inc., MILHOUSEINC1L.com, a lot of that stuff she's gonna be the.
I'm gonna push all that to Dolly.
Dolly, you holding the bag right now. Dolly, talk about that though. Insurance, the value of insurance at a firm, an international firm.
Absolutely, insurance is key to being a successful business. It is a must to have business insurance and or bonding insurance. depending on what the great idea is or what your business is about. But you must, in either having a construction company or engineering company or some other type of company, must have the business insurance. It is comprised of having general liability. That's the type of insurance that if you're just walking around in your work office or in someone else's workspace, that you are securely insured. Should some freak accident happen, like someone fall down the stairs or someone get pushed off an escalator, and that's because it was an accident. It was not intentional.
Push off.
He didn't say that.
But you're covered when you have business insurance.
So to just another piece of that is, because we're talking about great ideas and new businesses, right? Mm-hmm. How many great ideas or businesses that are created fail because of that? Would it be fair to say a large amount of businesses never fully realize themselves because of lack of insurance?
Yes, it is very safe to say. It's because it's what they don't know, they don't know. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is, they may go into business not understanding that, there's a cost to do business. So there's startup capital. You need, you need to have in that startup capital some money set aside for the cost to do business, which is put business insurance in place. Start your payroll, set payroll up so you can pay your team members. Also have a vendor catalog of those folks that you need to be able to tap on when you need them to help you stabilize and mobilize your business. And so there's a whole slew of things that you need to know, but business insurance is definitely key because there's auto insurance. If you're driving around using a car for business, you need to have auto insurance that does that. If you have team members, you need workers' compensation insurance that covers your team members while they're working for you. So right there, I've just named 3 policies: general liability, workers' compensation, and auto insurance.
Which is really key. And I think, Wilbur, we have somebody that is going to talk about. We have Dr. Regis, who's your CFO, and he'll be talking about some of the
financial stuff.
Yeah, a little bit after the 10 o'clock hour. But
we're going to segue with Frank after your break, where we're going to talk to one of the individuals who leads all of our international work. Very much a partner with me in identifying, evaluating, looking at new opportunities in which we go after. And we're going to have him talk a little bit about himself and then really talk about some of the entrepreneurial types of things that we do related to Millhouse, whether it's here in the United States and abroad.
Very cool. So when we come back, Frank is the senior man. He's on the scene. He's the boss too. It's a lot. What it made sense. A lot of bosses. I have to play back the tape. You're listening to the Book of Dawn with the Millhouse Engineering and Construction Executive A Squad on What's in It for the Black People Media. We are going to pay 2 bills. Wait for your ideas to drop in that email, greatideas@millhouseinc.com. You are getting the best of the best. You're getting advice from a man who, I'm going to let him tell the story, delivered pizza to keep the process going a long time ago. He don't deliver pizza no more, though, y'all. Okay, we'll be right back.
WIFTDP.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
What's up, good people? You're listening to I Said What I Said with Toussaint Warner and Herb Howard. You'll never breed a warrior.
Warriors, come out to play.
Shh, you hear that?
And that's what's happening at every angle. They're creating paradigms where we can only raise feminine men.
Yes.
Whether they're homosexual or not, they feminine as shit.
Sure, because all masculinity is toxic.
All masculinity is toxic in a war-torn society where the dominant society is saying to your ass, we don't never want no warriors.
Right.
You bastards.
Any book you've ever read, you can read the Bible, goddammit. When they go and they destroy some shit, they kill all the boy babies.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even want you growing up to think you're going to do some shit to me.
Animals do the same thing. If I come over here and I take over this village now or whatever, like this gonna be my pride. First thing I'm doing, killing the male boys, like killing the male babies.
Don't you even grow up with that?
Don't you even think about it? Okay, bitch. Right. You ain't my daddy. You damn right I ain't your daddy. Fuck your fort, little nigga.
Fuck your fort.
You're not my dad.
Oh man, I hate that I laugh at this shit in public.
That's real.
I hate that I laugh at this stuff in public.
That's real though, right? Tucson Warner and Herb Howard live on What's in It for the Black People Media, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
WIFTBP.
Live from your media studio. You're listening to Book of Dawn. With Dawn Millhouse.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Book of Dawn on a Monday, first day of the week. Whew, I got 4 more days of this. Lord help me. Thank God that Mr. Millhouse is here. He got jokes over here. Yeah. Shh. Mute that out.
See, I forgot about that part.
That part. You're listening to the Book of Dawn on What's in It for the Black People Media. We are joined today by the A-Team from Millhouse Engineering and Construction, a construction firm that was founded in 2001 by this visionary whose name is the same as mine, and I'll tell y'all the story of how he treated me real different back in the day. Anyway, before the break, we talked with Madam President Dollar Crater. We are joined in studio now by the CFO of Millhouse Engineering and Construction. We're going to talk to him shortly, but we prior to break, Wilbur introduced Frank Martin. Frank Martin is a senior member of the management team at Millhouse. He spent more than 5 years working in West African countries, including Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. He most recently has established an energy and power infrastructure in Bermuda. And so they've gone from establishing a coal mine in Nigeria and power to Bermuda, and it's very different for those of you who've never gone to Bermuda. It's okay. It's not the triangle that we heard about in horror stories when we were little. My
wife thought we was gonna disappear.
I did, literally. He's like, "You want to go to Bermuda?" I'm like, "The triangle?
We're gonna take a plane."
Right. Why they do that? However, Bermuda is a beautiful country. Frank served as the vice president with Morgan Stanley's asset management unit, where he managed $100 million. So money is no stranger to him. But I wanted Wilbur to go ahead and ask you.
Ask some questions to Frank. Perfect. Frankie, how you doing?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Welcome to the Book of Dawn, and thank you for having us all here. Frank leads our group that's on the international side, and I wanted you, Frank, to talk about a little bit about your journey of working at Morgan Stanley, before Morgan Stanley in New York, some of the other pieces, Booth graduate, all of that stuff is what he did. But that journey to when we met and then started to partner and going after some things and just the philosophy around that as we continue in the conversation, we're really going to just talk about, hey, this is how entrepreneurs behave. This is how they put business plans together, all this kind of stuff. But talk a little bit about your journey and then talk about how we do things at Millhouse.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Robbins, Illinois. I'm hailing all the way from Robbins, baby. Talk about starting.
Here we go with these suburbs again.
Economically challenged environment
Robbins,
continues
baby.
to be today, but a lot of good things come out of Robbins.
Holding it down.
Exactly.
Fortunate
enough to do my undergrad work at DePaul right here in Chicago, accounting undergrad, and finished the CPA exam in 2000. And by the way, Brian's going to get into this. Very few black CPAs, even in today's climate. I think less than 1% of all CPAs is black. So that's still a huge accomplishment. And hopefully that will change.
Absolutely.
We don't see a lot. But worked at Arthur Andersen after undergraduate, doing the undergraduate work. And you guys might remember Arthur Andersen.
Mm-hmm.
It was a firm that I was there until it imploded. And we can talk about some challenges of, and different detours that folks have had to take with respect to, challenges within a company. So I had to endure that, and then ultimately got my MBA from the University of Chicago Booth, and from there transitioned to investment banking, So spent some time in New York at some of the large firms, and ended up at Morgan Stanley, where I met Wilbur. And that's when we really started to look at international opportunities. And so it was funny, when I met Wilbur, I said, wow. It was funny, we were both traveling to Nigeria separately. And we met at a function. Actually, it was a Jewish, black Jewish
in
networking event here in Chicago.
Yeah.
And it was funny. He was telling someone that he was going. Yeah, exactly. He was telling someone he was going to Nigeria, and I listened. I heard him. I said, "You going to Nigeria for what?" I said, "I'm going to Nigeria too." He was like, "For what?"
Because I'm crazy.
And we ultimately joined forces in 2014, and we never looked back. And it was really an experiment of Wilbur's to figure out how you could combine engineering with finance in a unique way. And I think that we've seen a lot of success since then.
We're killing the game right now.
Yeah. So just in terms of one of the things that Dala mentioned that was very important that we think about when we think about expansion opportunities, it's partnerships. Partnerships are huge, and it's something that might not resonate with folks within our community all the time, right? It's like you think that it's just you got to go get it, you got to go do it, and as Dala mentioned, no one person can do it all. And so we seek good partners that can help us to execute on the ground, and you really can't be successful without that. And so that's one item that really resonated with me from what Dala mentioned.
For sure. So Frank, you're the president of Millhouse International.
Yep.
What is Millhouse International? What does it do? What are you up to?
Right. So international focuses on opportunities outside the U.S. And so there are today we're looking at, we have opportunities in West Africa, Nigeria specifically, and looking at others and developing others. But then also, we field a lot of internal and inbound calls from folks that are that know that we're interested in international projects, and so we take a look at each of them on a case-by-case basis. And
like how many do you field?
Wow, so we probably look at anywhere from 30 to 40 opportunities in a given month. Right. So it's every day somebody's calling with an idea. Right.
So they call you with this idea, and hey, I know a cousin that's in Belize, or I know a cousin here or there, and they say, hey, we want to build something, housing or something. So what do you do to go through and evaluate that?
We start with a series of questions. We start to ask questions in trying to really understand how much work they've done on that particular opportunity. Is it an idea, or is it an opportunity, or is it a business?
Okay.
And each of those is very different. Having an idea is one thing where it needs a lot of development, where it needs a lot of the things that Dala mentioned in order to turn it into a business. And so that's the fun part, right? That's the earliest stage, right, where it's the riskiest area. Right, and a lot of people don't want to get involved at that level, right? Even on our projects where we're in development, we have partners that'll say, hey, call me once you make it once it becomes a business. Once you turn it into a business, I might want to buy it from you or partner with you on that opportunity. But at this stage, the heavy lifting stage, let me know when you're done with that. So, and that's exactly what we're doing, right? We're saying, okay, for the person or the individuals that have just an idea, how much work are we going to have to do to get it and turn it into a business? And so those are the things that we look at and talk about every single day. And many of those opportunities are international. Some of them are local. We've looked at opportunities local and said, okay, this is, and then there's opportunities where we're following and hoping that the stars line up. So we've pitched someone, or it could be a mayor, it could be a political individual, and we said, hey, we'd like to bring this opportunity to your community, and they're just not ready for it yet, right? And we've done some initial work, and we've said, wow, this thing could work here in terms of not just money, but creating economic opportunity for that environment. And, unfortunately, that person might look at it and say, okay, I'm just not there yet.
Right.
And so
happens to us all the time.
It does. It does. And so,
Frank, you said an idea to a business. I think that's extremely important within the context of life and today, right? Because we're asking people to let you help them in that process. But I think until this very moment, I didn't even realize the value in it's an idea. And although in my head it's a business, I got like 9. I don't know if he wants to finance another one of mine, but there's a process, and although difficult, that's the glory in the story, right? So what are when you're planning strategically, how does it get from that light bulb to an open door or a website? What's that process?
Sure. We might, when someone brings an idea, the first question we'll ask is, okay, who's going to buy it? Who's going to be interested in it? Who are your customers? And let's do an evaluation of not just the market. We watch Shark Tank, right? And somebody comes into Shark Tank and they say it's $1 trillion market, right? And if we just get 1% of that market, we can make millions. And so even though that's important, what's important to look at is your addressable market. And this is what the investment bankers think about, exactly what part of that market would you serve? What portion of that is palatable for your business? And so if you're in Chicago and you're selling widgets, and you're going to build a factory in Chicago, possibly your first market is going to be in Chicago. So looking at the $1 trillion market for widgets might not be as relevant as what does your market here in Chicago look like? And that alone might be 10 million or 20 million or 30 million. And now what portion of that can we get as we do and drill down into the business opportunity? And so those are some of the things that we think about. And it starts with, how much revenue do you think you can get from this opportunity? And then we do a forecast, a financial forecast. And we may do a minimum 5-year forecast, even though none of us knows the future, right? But you have to start somewhere. And that's where people get hung up, right? Because they don't know where to start. And because these skill sets are generally, for us, not in our community in general. I can't pick up the phone and call my uncle who started a business and sold a business for $300 million.
Right, but you could take a call from him.
Exactly.
On a collect line. No, just joke. Absolute joke. His uncle is not incarcerated. It's a joke.
Seriously. It's
Uncle Ray Ray.
Ray ain't going to tell you how to forecast
Ray going to tell you another route.
He can put together a performance. He can actually, but he does it differently.
Exactly.
You have to tease it out.
Yeah.
So those tend to be some of our challenges, and those are things that we do at Millhouse as we look at opportunities. I work with Brian hand in hand because Brian is incredibly skeptical.
Most financial people.
He's
sometimes they get on my nerves.
He's a lot more skeptical than I am.
Tell him how you really feel, Mr. Millhouse.
Like,
Brian already know. Brian be like, "Are you mad at me right now?" I'm like, "I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the process, Brian. The process."
But you need
your people are crazy.
But you need those people in your life. You need a balance of optimistic.
Yeah, somebody has to tell him no.
Exactly.
This guy's like, you know what? Let's build a plane tomorrow and fly on it. Let's not.
Yeah.
It's called a plane builder.
And
so we shouldn't do your restaurant then?
Oh, hey. I wasn't talking about my business. I was talking about the plane.
We already looking at places.
So y'all heard that right here. He said the restaurant brown doorishness.
And it's a valuable trait as an entrepreneur to be an optimist, right? Because if you don't believe, nobody else will.
That's right.
But you also need somebody like Brian in your life who's going to look at and play devil's advocate. Okay, how are we really going to do this? What's execution going to be about? And those are sort of the mix of talents that
where's the money going to come from?
Correct. Who's going to invest in
Everybody
it?
Everybody has a great idea for your money.
Yep. Correct.
That's what I always say when they come to me. Everybody has a great idea for my money.
Correct.
Or everybody has a deal, and what you realize is they want your money.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's true. And they want to own all of the project.
So true.
Well, why would I do that?
So true.
Should we introduce Brian now?
I think we should.
So
since we've been talking about him in
You've been
financial
talking
stuff.
about
yeah,
man.
we put him under the bus, Poe man. Somebody get him a brace and a Band-Aid. We put him under the bus because he's the man that says obviously no sometimes to these two powerhouses.
Doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor's in the house.
Yeah, and we ain't talking about Dre. Sorry, that was my other voice. Brian Regis, Dr. Regis, is a results-driven executive possessing a proven track record of superior performance in strategy development and thought leadership. He is currently the CFO of Millhouse Engineering and Construction. His expertise in operational execution, team coordination, and mentorship are just some of the cost control. I've heard that in our board meetings, but he is essentially doesn't sit above his organization. He sits with it and partners hand in hand with Millhouse Engineering to make certain that he's in the vetting process to weed out the really good opportunities that make sense and that are impactful. Because what I've learned from both you and your team is that you don't just take projects because they make $1 billion. All of your projects have a lasting impact on the world.
Absolutely.
And so without further ado, Dr. Brian Regis, drum roll, put dollar signs on the
Put
thing.
dollar signs.
Wilbur, what questions would you like?
Well, Brian, I think it's very important for you to talk a little bit about how a young business or a business has to address their financial health, how they need to potentially have various avenues of receiving money as well as getting to money, because there's always that rainy day that comes, and talk about the things that you basically do on a day-to-day basis related to just making sure that we're financially sound and healthy. So we just went through our audits of the year. We have to do constant financials for our financial institutions, all that kind of stuff. I think many people don't necessarily have access to a CFO, and it'd be good just for you to talk about some of the things that you address on a day-to-day basis and what good, sound financial health is in general.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. And let's talk a little bit about just the questions Mr. Millhouse raised and address those one by one. First, let me give a shout out to the people in the Caribbean island of Dominica. That's where I hail from. And then we could do a separate show on moving to Alaska. That's completely another topic. But really started in the field of accountancy from a very young age. I've had accountants in my family for a number of years. And I approach things very systematically. Many times the 40 plus opportunities that Frank just spoke about, those will end up across my desk, and vet those intentionally to where's the money coming from, can we pay for that, and put up a plan as the CFO for Millhouse Engineering and Construction. One of the things that I do is to really take a skeptical view of the world around us, of the financials around us. We have banks. We have banks that we work with on a daily basis. They expect certain financial performance, and we have to be able to produce that definitely on a quarterly basis. One of the things an accountant, a CFO, needs to do is not necessarily look backwards all the time. As we talk about planning, you need to be able to look, forward think. What is the next 6 months? What is the next year going to look like? What the next 2 years? Many of the proposals that Frank puts together and we vet is looking at 5-year projections. So being able to do that, and as you have that idea and go into market based on those ideas, and you approach someone with the financial capacity to support you, I think it's important that you, on paper at least, you have a pro forma that can support the investment that you're going to ask someone to invest in your opportunity, in your business. So those are some of the things that we do over at Millhouse is really to vet it, shake it. Let's see what falls out, and yeah, shake it.
Shake it like a photo love picture. Okay, sorry.
Absolutely.
Shake.
You know, give it a serious vetting. So that is on the front side of things. On the back side of things, you need to go through an audit. Mr. Millhouse tells me all the time, Brian, you know, I've charged you with the financial management of the firm. He doesn't look good in stripe. I don't look good in stripe, right?
I'm not going to jail.
Exactly, right?
Period. He is not.
And I'm not either.
He's not going to be that uncle.
We're not going to break the rules.
Frank, he won't be that uncle. You will.
Nope. Yeah. So those are the things. Those are the things we do. Is really make sure that we're following the rules. From a financial reporting perspective, we're not going to commit bank fraud as we go to banks and request funding. We report back on a quarterly basis. We have to have support. When the banks gives you money, you have to have collateral. Right? They're not necessarily going to give you 100% of your requests. Right? You have to have
collateral. So just because I have a good idea.
Just because you have a good idea.
See that nigga just offer me $1 million.
I know, right?
Well, hold that thought, because I want to. When we come back from the break, what if I do have a good idea but I don't have 1 quarter, but it's like the next Facebook, right?
Yeah.
I don't have no money.
That's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, because I want to know if skin in the game matters.
Yeah.
And we're
skin in the game matters.
So we're going to talk about that. Brian, doctor, are you going to stay with us?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back. You're listening to the Book of Dawn on What's in It for the Black People Media with Millhouse Engineering A Squad. The A team's in the building, and I ain't talking about Mr. T, y'all.
WIFTDPM.
When you need vibrant, colorful gear that offers high-performance material that keeps you cool, call Agent Huff Custom Gear. Let us take your expressions and create something new for your everyday wear, your bedroom or bath. For all your needs, we offer custom sublimation, silkscreen, vinyl, and embroidery. You can reach us on all things social at Superhero Huff, www.superherohuff.com, or 630-476-9191.
Hi, I'm Dr. Willie Wilson, and I'm running for U.S. Senate for the state of Illinois. I will never give up on inclusion and equality, prison reform, reduced property taxes, and economic opportunity for all. I want to get to know your neighborhood and the problem that you face every day. And I want to serve every man, woman, and child in the state of Illinois. A vote for me is a vote for you.
What's up, good people? Make sure you ascend into Muwakil's world every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. with Salim Muwakil, a.k.a. the Black Forrest Gump, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
I was going to ask you, so growing up, did you ever have an old racist family in your neighborhood? Did you have one live next to you or one down the street? Just somebody's house that you know on the block, you didn't want to go nowhere near that house. The neighbor who was directly behind us had a real problem coming outside seeing my white mother and my black father.
We got us the gun line.
This dude built an 8-foot fence, more like 10 foot.
So they put up the Huck Finn joint.
Exactly. That shit looked like a castle. You know, my dad, he's a big guy, football player guy, my dad guy who walks over there.
Old school
and then
black.
he's like, you know, yo, I don't appreciate these apples in my yard. He's like, motherfucker, we don't even have an apple tree. These are your apples.
Do you like apples?
Your kids are throwing apples over here. Okay, there's that little space, but there's still a fence. So they're right there looking at each other.
Tell them about the gun line, boss.
And I said something like, yeah, Dad. And that dude said, shut up, you little monkey. Leroy stuck his head over the fence. You're gonna die, clown! Grabbed dude by the neck.
Run.
And proceeded to pull him halfway over this fence. Like, finish him. Mrs. Wheeler comes running out. Oh, Leroy, don't do that. It's not worth it. Blah, blah, blah. My dad was getting ready to kill this dude. And within 6 months, that guy moved away.
Don't cross the gun line, boss.
Right, the gun line, boss.
Chicago Famous, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media. You're listening to I Said What I Said with Toussaint Warner and Herb Howard.
Well, what was the power of the Bible? Most motherfuckers couldn't read. So the Bible legitimately changed the world because motherfuckers began to learn to read. Once I can learn to read, wait a minute, I can question some of this bullshit you talking
What school
about.
you go to though?
It don't matter.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Well,
I went to Dunbar.
Yes!
That's how Dunbar. Good. People disrespect the city schools. This Chicago. And I'm a motherfucking genius.
And that's on period.
Shout out to the mighty man. Nah, I'm just playing. But seriously though, think about it though, right? The Bible legitimately changed the world, right?
What's up, good people? You're listening to I Said What I Said with Tucson Warner and Herb Howard live on What's In It for the Black People Media, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
WIFTP.
Live from your media studio. You're listening to Book of Dawn. Book of Dawn with Dawn Millhouse.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Book of Dawn on What's In It for the Black People Media. I am joined in studio. Lisa E is atoning for all the fish she didn't eat, the gefilte fish and the matzo ball soups and all that, you know. Who did somebody order the fish? She'll be back tomorrow in here, you know, asking for camera 3. That's our move. Camera 3. Bring this in. We are joined today in studio with Wilbur Millhouse.
The Allstate man.
The Allstate. Yes, I was reading him your comments. I said they said that you have
You're
a
in good hands with Allstate.
Down goes Frazier.
Y'all want me to get that?
Now y'all heard the real Book of Dawn voice, because I usually don't cuss. Yes, I do cuss. I think we fixed it. Yeah. There is nothing like live broadcast. So what had happened was, and it's in good condition, we had a little safe incident in here. Yeah. Thank you, Esco, for always coming to the rescue. But we are talking with Wilbur Millhouse, founder, chairman and CEO of Millhouse Engineering and Construction, and its family of companies. And before the break, Wilbur, we talked about you had Dr. Regis talk about the vetting process, and then you asked him a question, or we left off at the point of auditing. What would you like to ask him about auditing?
Well, I think it's important, Brian, to share a little bit about that process related to. There's audits, there's paying of taxes. I'm going to tell a short story. When I first started Millhouse ENC, Engineering and Construction, I thought I could write off everything. Anything that I did, I can write off, and I wasn't going to be paying as much in taxes. So my car, the paper, and this and that, and blah, 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 blah. Long story short, after our first year, and I think our first year of operations, we were somewhere right around about $100,000 in revenue. Way back in the day.
Way back.
And of course, all of my expenses I thought I could write off, so I thought I wasn't going to be paying any taxes. And then when the tax bill came, it was, I don't know forget how much it was. It was $10,000, and I didn't have it. And so I ended up having to go on a payment plan to pay taxes. And then I said, one of the key lessons learned at that point in time, very early on, was that make sure that you pay your taxes and just deal with it, pay those taxes, and move forward. But I think it'd be good to talk about, it's important to do audits, it's important to have good financial sound books is important because we've been, I could tell other stories related to folks indicating that we're fraudulent operation in the state of Illinois going through our books and all that kind of stuff. But we won't go there right now.
We won't go there.
We definitely talk about the importance of that stuff and then moving forward, just how people should do that.
Yeah. Well, some of us pay more than $750 in taxes, right?
Yeah. Our great president, you know.
Yeah. Well,
oh gosh, don't even.
Let's not go there.
He only paid like 700. 700. How much?
750.
Hey, listen. Register for the census. Register and vote. And y'all already know the rest of that because I said it twice. I'm just saying. Vote.
Yeah. I just paid my tax.
Don't not vote. Vote.
You know quite well we just paid our tax.
Yeah.
Yep.
Heavy
one. So no, just to talk a little bit about taxes. The taxman is always going to knock on the door. So make sure you're doing everything right there. Get a good accountant. Get a good auditor, and to help you in that space. But certain expenses that you incur, not all of it is tax deductible, right? For example, some of your community efforts, charity contributions, those are not tax deductible. So, they're not. Depreciation expense to some degree. There's a book depreciation, there's a tax depreciation. Those are not 100% deductible. Meals and entertainment. Right? Nada. Those are not
really.
Yeah, those are.
That's the biggie. Most people think, this is a business lunch.
Yeah.
It's coming straight out of your profits. G.
Straight out of your profits. So be careful on that. Get a good accountant. Get a good auditor. We have one of the top 5 auditing firms in the country. They will come. They will turn everything upside down and make sure that your accountant has, your CFO has recorded all of the expenses appropriately, and that everything passes muster, both from an accounting perspective.
What should a small firm do, Brian, that can't afford to go get some of those big? I mean, we got BDO, we've got a big operation. I mean, a regular accountant will work?
A regular accountant will work. I think there's small minority-owned accounting firms that you can start off with. Mm-hmm. They are as good as the big accounting firm, probably does not have that consulting background expertise from a global perspective or even a national perspective. But there are a number of small accounting firms you could start off with to help you grow. Mm-hmm. And at some point you might outgrow that, but there are also some big black-owned accounting firms that you can work with. But hire a good accountant and keep your books straight. You could do your accounting on a cash basis model, or you could do an accrual base. There are limits in terms of which method you have to follow and when you have to do that. But just be open, be transparent, be open with your bank, be open with your accounting firm, and be open with your legal team. You'll hear more about that from our legal expertise when they come in.
Brian, so 2 questions I have that many of our viewers may have. Apparently, all accounting processes are not the same. Does it depend on the kind of business? The process of writing off. I waited tables for a long time, and we were able to write off, transportation and ink pens and aprons and those things. But it sounds like there are different categories with different business levels. Can you share a little bit about why there is that difference?
Yeah, there are some differences. I say about 80% of the work that you do, there are similarities right there, but there are certain differences. Some of the things that we are not able to write off as an engineering firm, for example, certain type of charges that we incur, there's an audit that we do called overhead audit. It's part of the federal regulations. So we're governed by a certain type of rules that says what we can and what we cannot do. So there are upper limits of salary, upper limits of compensation, for example. even if Mr. Millhouse is getting paid $100,000, he get paid a lot more than that. But even if he gets paid $100,000,
can I hold $5? Can I have $5?
Just a little bit.
Mr. Millhouse, can I have $5?
You already got the $5.
So
can I have?
I'm the tax man.
Yeah. So there is a certain limit. There's an upper limit at which we can write off certain salaries, right? That would apply to me also. So even if it's compensation and that's my salary, there are certain limits that we have to take into account.
That's really interesting. Another thing you said that so is the regulation for when you give from a charitable perspective different for different businesses? Because I think when you look at a nonprofit and it says all donations are tax deductible, what's the understanding of that? Not that we don't want people to give, right. We just want you to be smart and prudent and understand what you're giving to versus what your intention is.
Yeah. From an accounting perspective, it is deductible, right? It becomes a business expense. From a tax perspective, that is excluded from your tax return. So it takes your book income and inflates it by that contribution, and there's a percentage of that is allowable and what is not.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, talking about money and taxes, we are joined in studio now with Maisha McClendon, who happens to be, before I tell you how she got to be the vice president of aviation, I will tell you that she is handling a project that you got a lot of taxes to worry about. It's $40 billion project, right, with O'Hare? Maisha McClendon is currently the vice president of aviation and is, I don't even know where to start with this one. She's 40 under 40. She's a mom, a single mom while doing it all. She's a twin. She's gone from just starting as a young, aspiring person in the industry to becoming a vice president. But along the way, she has managed projects, and I don't know that everybody, I think the word project manager is something that we should probably define because
sure.
Because that could be anything, right? But I think the value of her story and her proven track record of success in being able to lead, coordinate, manage, facilitate projects is why she is in the position she is now.
Definitely.
And so,
segue into Maisha. So, Maisha, one of the things that I want you to share with us, definitely go into your background, talk about that, and your migration to project manager to vice president and GL, all that great stuff. But talk about that journey and then talk about what you do for Millhouse as well, related to running a group, how many people was in it, and projects that you've touched, all that great stuff.
So my degree is in electrical engineering, so excited about that. Hope I shock you.
I knew because I read.
One of the key pieces today in
resume.
talking about businesses, I wanted to make sure I brought some of my technical folks, at least one, because on the business side, you have to have technical folks that are business savvy as well. And Maisha is one of those individuals. So
makes sense.
That's another piece that we'll get into.
So I started out as a project engineer when we were small. We had about 5 people in the company, and now as we're talking, we have a couple hundred. So I started, been with the team for 15 years. When I started, I was a project engineer, and that's when I worked. Actually, my first project was a project at O'Hare. And so I started out doing that, being a member of the team, designing underground utilities, electrical utilities, and different things for the runway infrastructure. But then over the last 15 years, I've had the opportunity to progress and to learn and moved up into what we call a project manager. So a project manager can oversee projects on several levels. So a couple $100,000, couple million. It just really depends on your company, whether or not they even bring in those type of projects, but it also depends on the person, because you really want to get somebody in that position or in that seat that has strong communication skills, but also attention to detail, because as Brian will hold us to it, we have to stay within this budget. And if we overrun the budget, that eats into the profit. And so as a project manager,
and
then he's mad. So as a project manager, you not only have to have the technical skills to understand what's going on, you also have the financial skills to understand what this means to actually work within the budget and design within this budget and scope. And so started out engineer, then progressed to a project manager, and then made my way up to a section lead, as we call it, where I'm overseeing a small group that feeds into a bigger industry. And then recently, in the last couple of years, made my way up to vice president. So I am VP of aviation. And then, as you mentioned, we are doing one of the most exciting projects in the city of Chicago, where we, in the world, you are right, definitely, in the world, we are designing the new global terminal for O'Hare International Airport. And so it will be a international and domestic terminal. And as you stated, it is billions of dollars for the design and construction of the new terminal.
That is fascinating on many levels. First, as because for a minute they had me outnumbered in here on the testosterone, but it is more than appreciated to see a woman of color who everything could have been against her to sit in this position starting from the bottom. And then you talked about runways, and so can you just share with a lot of our viewers fly in and out of O'Hare, probably landing on something you designed?
Yes. So our very first runway 10 Center, is actually open, and so plenty of people. It's actually used as a runway for takeoff and landings. So plenty of people have landed on it. So when you look out the window and you see that yellow sign on the side of the runway 10 Center, you know that a minority firm was a part of that 10C28.
10C28. So you guys, 10C28.
That's
when you land on that one, take a picture and drop it on the thread.
That'd be cool.
And then we have another one that's coming up that will open in November. Actually, the FAA, we set a date. It will open in November, which is our next runway that we've designed at O'Hare, which is 9 Center, 27 Center. So yes. Excited.
That's fascinating. It sounds very hard, but I'm okay.
But she's done more than that. Air traffic control towers.
Oh wow!
Yes,
wow.
Air traffic control towers, lighting control vaults, terminals.
And so you are charged with like everything that we've touched on today, like Wilbur stated, technical. You the insurance matters for you, the money matters,
yes,
the people management, the team leadership, everything that is discussed today, legal, falls in your lap, essentially.
Everything. So I work with the entire business team, and I have to. They are my right hand, and if I don't have a great relationship with them, then it doesn't go well. And so yes, I have to work with our CFO for our budgets and his team. I have to work with legal because I have to have my legal review the contract. And people will try and get you, and that is one of the biggest things, that we have to read the fine print. And so we read every single line in that contract, because you get some people who don't want to do great business. And they don't want to treat their subs or their team members or joint venture partners well. So I have to understand contracts, but also have a great relationship with my legal counsel, so that I can say, this isn't reading quite right to me. Can you pay extra attention to this detail? Even down to invoicing, down to when our partners get paid, they say, oh, when we get paid, we'll pay you in 30 days. Well,
probably not.
We don't want you to hold our money for 30 days. So even things like that,
thank you,
that I have to look into, and as a project manager and as an executive, have to pay attention. So legal, finance, insurance. Every project has to be insured, so I have to make sure that I have that insurance certificate for the project. So all aspects, protective gear. So like we said earlier, Miss Dollar, I have to work with her to get that stuff purchased, so down to the hard hats and the safety goggles and everything, because even though we design, we still have to go out to the project to inspect it and make sure that it was constructed correctly.
What is one of, because that's a lot, and I think you mentioned that she's now, is it group leader?
Yeah.
So you, and I know you're hands-on.
I should explain it just a little bit, backing up. So the way our operation is set up is we have group leaders that are over certain segments, whether it's a service or a business line. So aviation is its own group, gas is its own group, civil structural is its own group. So we have several individuals, about 7 different group leads. Maisha has aviation, so that covers everywhere that we could potentially do aviation. So not just here in Chicago, but we do work in New York, we do work down in Dallas, we do work down in Atlanta. So if we do work out of the country, she's still over anything aviation that we touch.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so all of aviation, not just Midwest or Chicago.
Correct.
Which means that even just added another level of difficulty because you're managing multi-state and potentially country aviation work. What is as a group leader, how does that add to the responsibility, and what actually do you do in that position as a group leader different from what you were doing prior to that?
So as a group leader, I'm also responsible for business development. So as a project engineer, I'm just responsible for designing the project correctly. Or even as a project manager, just responsible for overseeing maybe 1, 2, depending on how big or small, 3 or 4. But as a group leader, I'm responsible for my entire team and the phone calls that I get at 8 a.m. or 9 p.m. My dog needs to go to the vet. Can I have a few hours off? Or I'm doing, and it's like, okay, take care of the dog. But all of that. So, team members. I'm also responsible for the business development. So we have to have work. We got to have job security. We got to have backlog. And so backlog is one of the biggest important things for us. Is let's just not focus on what we have today on the books. We also have to be thinking about the future. And so that's my responsibility. Is to also oversee and make sure that we're doing business development, also client engagement and client management, making sure that my clients are taken care of, and that we have great relationships with them. So client engagement, client dinners, client meetings, making sure that I know that their child has a birthday on this day or that their father does this, etc. Just kind of developing that personal relationship with them is all in my responsibilities day to day.
I have a question for both of you. Part of the business process, when you're a new business or you have an idea, and part of what makes some people decide, I don't want to do this anymore, is difficulty. We are in real time experiencing a pandemic that our country, although we've had smaller ones, none quite like this huge, the impact of the elephant in the room, which is the COVID pandemic. Navigating through that, how difficult and what would you share with somebody listening that is having their own small pandemic, right? Because it's relevant. What would you tell them?
I mean, one of the first things that I did was with all of my GLs was say, hey guys, I need you guys to all go back and reevaluate what our business plan is and what we had thought we were doing at the beginning of the year and what our charge was, and reassess if that is still our charge. So the first piece would be, let's do a reassessment of whatever it is that you're doing and figure out, does that still hold true, or do I need to make some changes to accommodate for the fact that this is no longer going to be a valuable service or thing that I'm making or doing. And then you go from there. I mean, for us, we switched over to sanitization, for example, where our environmental group saw an opportunity there, and then we start providing that as part of a service. But I would say the key is reevaluation, and then start to figure out what your new steps will be from there.
That makes sense. It's scary, but it makes sense. But it sounds like everybody there is up early at 8 o'clock in the morning, making certain that they find new ways to recreate or pivot in that space and make sugar out of shit, right? Because everybody's experiencing the same pandemic, right? You saw another A-team, A-squad exec come in the building. I want to introduce him quickly. We're going to take a break. Somebody texted me and said that what we haven't heard is how you started your business and what your first job was. So they wanted me to specifically ask you that. Okay. But we are joined and will be rejoined with Maisha and Corey White, who is the corporate counsel. He's the lawyer in the he's super smart. Well, they all are freaking engineers and way above my pay grade. Anyway, Corey White is the legal counsel for the Millhouse family of companies. So much like Maisha, your work is not limited to right here in the States. He is a lawyer by bar, not just because he went to law school. Just want to put that out there, y'all. He actually passed the bar.
That's important. Get the certification.
Facts.
Get the license.
You can give a little bit of advice, but you cannot consider yourself a lawyer until you take that test, like that professional engineering exam and that law exam, and pass the bar. Corey has experience in commercial litigation as well as transactional employment matters, which marries well to a company like this, because Dr. G's talked about transactional matters, but obviously commercial litigation in the businesses and the arenas that you work in, aviation and road building and tollways and things like that all matter. It looks like you went to DePaul University of Law, which, that's a hometown school, but you also went over to DC and did a little time in DC in your educational process. We are going to talk to Corey White when we come back, and he's a newlywed. You want to give a shout out to your wife before we go to commercial?
Hey, Melissa, if you're watching.
And the dog. And
Barry Sanders.
Barry
Sanders. The fastest wiener dog in Chicago, by the way.
Wiener dog.
Oh, is he a wiener dog?
He's a wiener dog, yeah.
A wiener dog sounds like Oscar Mayer to me.
Fast.
The fast. So he's
a champion.
Yes. In real life?
Real life? You wanna?
I might have to watch the video.
The regional race last March. Yeah.
That's a thing.
That's a thing. Yeah.
He lost a year before, and then he trained.
He came in second year before, and
then he came back.
And yep,
he took it.
Who knew?
I followed the story.
Do they have a race for Maltese?
I don't think it's
we'll have to
pay
figure
attention
it
to no
out. I'm sure they do.
He's gonna be trying to find his mommy.
Ooh, shots fired. You're listening to the Book of Dawn on What's in It for the Black People Media. Muwak Hill's World is coming up. He's probably out there with that voice. Hey, y'all got to tell me, what do you think? Muwak Hill's, Salim's voice versus Wilbur's voice, because they on here saying that Maze is probably going to ask you to do a dark, those nighttime shows with WIIFTEP. Oh, commercial. Did you get that, Esco? And then I said what I said. My boy's Herb too. Herb. If he crazy, he's Herb because he's been smoking, but Urban too. And then Herb. Chicago famous. Mike Love and Diz. You Maisha, you probably, I don't know, you probably were in law school doing something when they were on the birthday line. Maybe we'll have them sing that. You are listening to the Book of Dawn weekdays, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Stay with us. We're going to find out what his first job was and why he started his company, and finish speaking with Maisha and Corey and the rest of the heavy squad when we come back.
WIIFTEP.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday, or you can find them online at solobeauty.com.
Funeral expenses are costly. The Casket Store wants to help you save hundreds of dollars. You do not have to purchase a casket from the funeral home. Call now for a free in-home consultation. Call 773-445-6900. 773-445-6900.
Are you curious to explore the intellectual currents that channel our thoughts and frame our reality? Have you ever meditated for relaxation and accidentally discovered the universe in the process? These matters and many more you may never have even thought of will be yours to explore as you come with me into Muwak Hill's world. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 to 1, right here on What's in It for the Black People Media.
WIIFTEP.
Live from your media studio. You're listening to Book of Dawn. With Dawn Millhouse.
Well, y'all, welcome back to the Book of Dawn. I'm Wilbur Millhouse, just sitting in with my great and awesome wife, who has this great. What'd you say?
I say we go together.
Oh. And we're talking to two of my colleagues, Maisha McClendon and Corey White. Corey is our legal talent. Maisha is one of our group leads. And we were going to start moving in, Corey, into what matters in the world of legal for an operation like Millhouse. And maybe first start off with a little bit about your background, what got you to this place, and then run straight into some of the things that you pay attention to and what's important for other businesses to be paying attention to.
Sure. Thanks, Wilbur. Just real quick, shout out to Queens, New York.
Queens.
That's where I'm from originally. And also the island of Jamaica. That's where my parents hail from as well.
That's right.
Tell them what you got, son.
Son?
Yo, God.
But I took a interesting path to Millhouse. I did my undergrad in D.C. At Georgetown, and then I came here to DePaul in Chicago to study law and get my law degree. And I graduated law school in 2009. If you guys can remember, that was kind of a rocky time. We were dealing with that last recession, and so a lot of attorneys in my group, we had to learn how to be nimble, how to keep trying when people tell you no. You really heard a lot of no's back then, but you had to keep at it. And so I worked a number of different jobs across a number of different firms. Mostly small firms, doing a lot of transactional work, corporate transaction work, commercial litigation. Later in my career, some employment work, and securities throughout my entire career. In fact, currently I'm an adjunct professor of securities law at Kent. I do that when I can. I'll be teaching next spring, most likely virtually. And so I've gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of background from the various places I've worked at. And I've done a lot in terms of professional development. Because back then, not everyone was handing out jobs. You had to kind of go on your own and try to figure out what to do. I started my own small firm. I became a big member of the State Bar Association. I eventually moved up to the board of directors of that organization, and because of that, I got to serve on a number of other boards. And I just kept at it. And then about a year ago, I ended up sitting for an interview with Dollar, and the rest is history. And that's sort of how I got here. In terms of legal and what the legal considerations are for a company, they change whether you're big or you're small, and there's some distinctions depending on the size of the company that you have to consider. That being said, every company, whether it is big or small, has a couple of key things in common that you have to consider. And like Dala, Dala talked about insurance and how to mitigate risk. Another piece of that is to ensure that when you start this business, when you put that great idea into effect, that you do it with the right corporate vehicle. And there's a lot of different companies out there, a lot of different types of companies that you can consider. And you really need to sit down with an attorney. You don't have to go to a big law firm or have an in-house counsel or have a corporate counsel, but there are a lot of good. I came up in small firms. There's a lot of very good small firms out there that can provide advice. A lot of diverse small firms out there that can provide advice in terms of your corporate structure. But you can pick from a corporation, you can pick from an LLC, you can pick from a limited liability partnership. These all have different aspects, different characteristics that may or may not fit your particular type of business. Is it just you? Do you have a partner? Do you have multiple partners? All of that will go into how you choose your entity form. It's also important to understand that there's a distinction between the form of your entity and how you're taxed. And a lot of people sometimes get confused, and well, there's an S corp and a C corp, but those aren't actually types of corporations. There's just a corporations. You can also have a professional corporation, which is actually a subset of a type of corporation. But that S corp and C corp distinction is important, because that's a tax election that you have to make. And making that election will control how that income flows. To Wilbur's point, you gotta make sure you're on point with your taxes. And if you don't understand, pay your taxes. And if you don't understand your election, you could be in trouble. So but yeah, so those are some common things to think about. And then when you're operating your company, I with respect to Millhouse, I have the great honor of being able to sort of touch every part of the company. So I will work with Brian on a daily basis. During the week, I work with Frank, I work with Dala, I work with our people and culture director, Maisha, a lot, and the rest of our GLs. I get to touch every piece of it. And once in a while, I get to tell Brian no, which is fantastic. I live for those moments.
There you go. Tell him no.
Yeah, I can't do it. Not this time, Brian.
Let me do whatever the hell I want to do.
But and being able to do that allows me to sort of see the entire tapestry of what a company needs as it grows, right? Having good employment matters being handled appropriately, having your tax matters being handled appropriately, having your corporate matters being handled appropriately, having your contracts being reviewed appropriately. When you do business with somebody, whether you're making widgets, whether you are providing professional services, whatever your chosen business is, you are eventually going to have to enter a contract with somebody. We have to make sure that those are written appropriately for you to protect your interests, but you always have to understand that there's always two sides to a table. So you have to think about it fairly, try to put yourself in the shoes of the other side, but you have to ensure that those contract terms, to Maisha's point, they don't try to pull the wool over your eyes.
Thanks, I appreciate that, yeah. Core. I'm going to jump in really quick, because one of the reasons I wanted you two to be here at the same time, you guys are some of our young and up-and-coming superstars inside of Millhouse who will be taking over. And what things are you guys thinking about as you are building your career, and the opportunities or the direction in which you're looking at, as far as how do we take what we've built so far and then take it to the next level? See, they didn't know I was going to put them on the spot. And one of the other pieces, if we got questions,
I'm
definitely let's do that. We got about 20, 15 more minutes while they answer this. We'll definitely take some questions, and that could be for any of us, whether it's Brian or Dala or Frank. So that'd be great. But go ahead, guys.
Want to go first?
I will go first.
Maisha's so smart. She's like, hey, man, I'm going to let you take it.
Who runs the world? Girls.
And I will keep it to 120 seconds. So
yeah, because lawyers, you can't out-talk, but she's a woman. You can't out-talk.
The way I see Millhouse moving in the way that I see us growing, and sort of my role in it would be to ensure that as we grow, we manage all the risks that we will face. And it's just inevitable that the bigger you get, the more exposure you have and the more risk that you have. And what if I could have my one wish, I would wrap everybody in bubble wrap and make sure that everyone's safe that way. But no, I want to.
I was talking about getting on the scooter while me and Corey.
I was like, no.
He was like, no, you're not getting on that.
Okay, put a bookmark, because how many times have I said no? Like 50 left.
He's like, no,
okay,
you're not getting on that.
You're not going to get on that.
It's pretty fun. I did it.
Maisha,
it's fun.
You are with the corporate counsel.
Well, yes. Yeah.
Don't say it out loud.
I know I'm not doing it. That's for sure. But no, it's about ensuring that we can maintain our growth and our ferocity as a company while also mitigating our risk, and that comes from making sure we are structured appropriately. And when I look into the future, I see all the different structures I want to put in place and the different things that I want to do to make sure that risk is appropriately mitigated, from the structure of the company to the reviewing of the contract, and streamlining all of that to make sure that we can manage it within our growth. But it really is preparing for growth and mitigating the risks involved in that growth. And there's always going to be risks.
Thank you.
So for me, to prepare for growth and for the future, one of my biggest things or biggest goals is to work on talent and work on new, young, minority talent.
Yes.
I often was the only woman, or even the only woman in African American women in my classrooms in college at big, universities, down to the point where it's okay, who gets the girl in their group? And then once they got the girl in their group, it was like, well, we don't want to let her go. She's good. And it was like, was I not supposed to be good? So that would be one of my things, is making sure that we continue to encourage minorities and women to pursue careers in engineering, so that we can make sure that we have that future talent to be able to build great things and design great projects. So that would be how I want to really work towards moving to our future and longevity, because we actually experienced there's a gap in engineering where there were not a lot of people pursuing careers in engineering. And so we're seeing and we're feeling that now while we're looking for talent. And so it would be to really pursue and push young students to go into engineering.
One of your comments in the comment section from a top fan wanted to just commend you on your intention to go for younger talent. So I think that, to your credit, is huge.
We have a bunch of other. I couldn't bring everybody here, so we have.
But I've been thinking, I'm like, Big Red. I got the Big Red brain on. What if we did this once a month, and then 350 employees later, everybody could, because they're all your team.
I am very fortunate to have a lot of Black talent in executive positions at our company that are truly talented, not just people holding positions. And I can think of four others off the top of my head that are not here, that are at the same caliber and holding different units down. But we've been lucky in attracting that, and as Maisha talked about, being able to get even more talent is important. It's hugely important.
I love it. I'm loving the comments.
You got any questions?
I don't have any questions. They don't have any questions in here. They're a little shy, but one of the things that I think will be important is what happens after the show goes off is another 1,000 people watch it and the questions pop up. So I try to manage that. But
so my great ideas thing, I can pitch that a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. So I came up with the great ideas piece because often we sit around and think about, man, it'd be great if this was this way or that way. So I was at dinner with a friend of mine last week, and he was contemplating buying a very expensive car, but he doesn't drive. He doesn't have a driver's license in 20 years. So, but he still wanted a convertible Dawn Rolls Royce. And I was like, well, so are you going to get a driver? And then we talked about that and talked about the benefits and not of having a driver. And then I was like, wouldn't it be a great thing if, just like with Uber, you could just have a person come and drive you around without actually them driving their own car. They would just drive your car. And I was like, man, that'd be a great idea. And he was like, that's a good idea. And then so we started talking about it, like we were going to go and fish this out and put it through the ringer. What we call the ringer, guys, is when we start really fishing through a project and figuring out if it works or not. And lo and behold, I go in, the first step is to Google and see if it exists already, and it existed. It's called Driver, D-R-Y-V-E-R, where you can essentially get a person to come and drive your car for about 3 hours minimum, and that is what they provide as a service. So my point was, things like that exist in this company. I said, man, this is a really good idea, because oftentimes you don't necessarily want to be in someone else's car. You would rather be in your own, and you could just have someone come and drive you around for an extended period of time. So that's the kind of things in which we want to vet out, talk about, and see if it exists already or not, and see if it has legs to move on to another step and another step. So great ideas at millhouseinc.com.
And on that note, also, you can see their full bios on millhouseinc.com, which is their company website. You can also see the runways that Maisha spoke of earlier. But you do have a question, and it says, what should a candidate or potential partner submit in their pitch to make it stand out?
I mean, first and foremost, you got to have an idea that you've kind of vetted through to make sure, like I just mentioned, doesn't exist already or isn't already being worked on. Then you have to have some idea of how you foresee it moving forward. And I think those are the first two important pieces when we're talking about, and this is what we call pre-Shark Tank. Mm-hmm. This is not Shark Tank where you have to have everything thought through and everything figured out. This is pre-Shark Tank. I have a great idea. I don't think it can exist, and I think this has useful purpose in our society.
Makes, again, back to being an impact, and
Yep.
it more than just taking the money and running, right?
I did have one other question. You asked me to answer a question related to
Yes.
how I started. Or
Yeah,
something?
the question was posed: what was your first job, and how did you start the company, or why did you start the company?
First job was with Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. So I started the company in 2001, 12/12/2001. All of those numbers are important, by the way. And basically our first project that we were awarded was with Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, and it was a project installing ground monitoring devices and doing the construction inspection for a off street road for Metropolitan Water at the Thornton Quarry.
The quarry, is that where the big rocks are?
That's the big
Okay.
hole.
Okay.
When you're on 80,
Look like
you look to the left and the
Flintstones.
right, you go, wow, that's deep. Yeah. That's the Thornton Quarry.
It is pretty big. And why did you start your company?
I felt that I could create a better mousetrap or a better place for people to be and to come to. So one of the reasons why I created it was I want people to feel proud about wearing the Millhouse logo across their chest, and I wanted that company to be proud about them. And I wanted to create an atmosphere that people aren't stabbing each other in the back and making the office place be a wreck, but basically this office place would be full of family, full of team, full of individuals working together towards a common goal.
What I've taken, and there clearly is not enough time to share everything that you touch and everything you do in just this segment. So I'm going to throw this out here in front of all your viewers. I'm thinking we could do this once a month. Okay, I'm just put it in the air. God said if you put it in the air, it'll come to you, right? But what I would like to note is I think if I can marry where you come from, Avalon Park, Chicago Public Schools, learning disorder, learning disability that you found out about in college, a teacher that once told you basically would never amount to much.
Mr. Beckham.
Oh, Jesus, I didn't know you was going to say his name. Mr. Beckham, you shouldn't have said that. Well, you should have, because look what you did. To becoming a student, matriculating at University of Illinois, not just getting a bachelor's, but getting a master's, and then passing a professional exam that most people of color and or women are not in the greater percentage in the state of Illinois. What I have personally taken from it, and I hope our viewers have understood, that there are some very important pieces to your puzzle, and that's that people that you work with or that you partner with have vision, that they understand the team mentality, that they practice or are resilient people and know how to persevere in pandemics or in rain, designing runways, or when a legal matter happens, or when a bank says no, that they work with humility, are open to learning and leading, and are diverse, because we see just from the representation here that being a woman and being brown will not stop promotion with Millhouse Engineering and Construction. That being said, great ideas at Millhouse. 1L, don't let the computer autocorrect you, because if you're sending it to MILL, it's not going to happen. Great ideas at millhouseinc.com. I don't think there are any bad ideas. I think what you'll get from this experience and from this A squad of leaders is true and honest feedback in your journey to business. But I think the overall, there's a lot of nuggets in here and a lot of people are excited. One of the comments said that you will never get this kind of candid conversation on mainstream radio. And so I just, again, want to thank Maze for the platform. You can't do Secrets in the Dark voice for him because you got your own show now. He has his own show. Add that to the Millhouse Business Hour or 20 minutes. But I do want to just say,
you know what I should do is a
What
shameless plug
should.
for recruitment. I mean, we probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 plus openings on our website, www.millhouseinc.com. I don't even know our own damn website. That's
/careers.
To
get you right
/ okay, let me do it again.
So on that, definitely go and if you know someone that has those skill sets that we're looking for, let them know what's going on. I'm actually personally, I haven't even put it in the request thing. I'm going to get somebody to replace me as a project manager on the Bermuda project. So if you want to go to Bermuda and you're a great project manager, come and see me.
So www.millhouseinc.com /careers, right? And you said over 30 positions currently?
I'm pretty sure it's like 33 right now.
Somebody asked, are you hiring in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay.
We're hiring in everywhere. Atlanta, New York. Are you hiring in Dallas?
Not right now.
Not in Dallas.
But Atlanta, New York, New Jersey.
Yeah, for
Chicago.
Sure.
Atlanta, New York, Jersey, Chicago, Bermuda.
Yeah, and then
they get to live on the island of Bermuda.
Yeah, you do. And we're going to send a bunch of other expats or individuals to Nigeria as well. So that's happening soon.
That's exciting. Hold on one second. I lost the comment. Somebody said, thanks for sharing, Wilbur. The foundation of your company, it is truly impressive. And get this part. Y'all can feel me on this. It's good to see a Black alumni winning.
There you go.
With a bunch of orange and blue stars.
Yeah.
Man. Okay. Well, Roosevelt University, I don't know. Are you? I don't know. That's I don't know. ILL. Cut it out. 3 minutes. We have 3 minutes. So I have two things. The first is that you saw it here and only here on What's in It for the Black People Media, a Black man from the city who took what he wasn't supposed to be and became who he is now, who is partnered with and teams up daily with the best and the brightest in the industry. This could be you. Great ideas at millhouseinc.com. Hey, throw it against the wall, see if it sticks. That's all they're asking you for. Remember to use your voice and your actions to be an impact in this world like these people. Thank you for spending. Thank you, Wilbur, Mr. Millhouse. Thank you, Maisha. Thank you, Corey. I did. They because that is your name actually. Thank you to Dala. Thank you to Brian and Frankie. Frank, what Wilbur calls him, Frankie.
Frankie, baby.
Thank you to the team that's holding them down while I snatch all the boss or most of the bosses away, and I'm sure on a Monday they're like, just hurry up and get off the wave. But thank you for spending time with us. Tune in tomorrow for the next page in the Book of Dawn. Do you know how house music started in Chicago? Do you know who is the originator of house music?
Millhouse created Millhouse music.
Oh Lord, I wasn't thinking he was going to say that, but it was Jesse Saunders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember Jesse.
It was that guy.
Jesse and Wilbur. Jesse has written a book in his own words. He's going to talk about the history of house music. Early. He's in California. He's like, I didn't know the show was that damn early. I was like, okay, well, you signed up for it now. Make sure you tune in, share the website. They are hiring. And you know what? You don't have to start as a boss, but you can start and become a boss, which is
that's what we're looking for.
That's the best and the brightest, right? You can also self-motivated, resilient, and ready to work.
Ready to work.
What do you say? Boots on the, what's your thing?
Asses in the seat.
Boots on the ground. Asses in the seat is the restaurant.
Yeah, no. I mean, you got to be able to put asses in the seats. I mean, it's part of,
and somebody said, is the brown door coming back? Hurry.
That's what's coming.
Okay. Ooh, you heard that?
Happen.
Girl, okay, that means I got another job. But that's a labor of love. Thank you for spending time with us. Stay tuned for Salim with Muwakil's World. I said what I said. You have to. What were you talking? So these are our shows. Muwakil's World.
Muwakil's World.
Come on.
What's up?
Come on, Big Red.
What's up, man?
Come on, Big Red. I knew Big Red was gonna come in here before the show, so he can't help himself. That's Big Red.
He was peeking.
Exactly. He's about to come in here and drop you a whole book of how you can buy a radio station. He already told me, if Mr. Millhouse don't come in here and see all this greatness in here, it's a problem. 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 Dead serious.
It probably is.
It probably. Here comes the South Side, not the suburbs.
The South Side.
Not the suburbs, Frank. Thank you for spending time with us. Peace, and guess what? Roll Tide.
WIFTDPN.